Hello, hello, savvy friends. Happy New Year. If you've not heard it from me yet, I just want to wish you a very happy New Year. I hope that you all had an incredible Christmas time, some downtime. Hopefully, you took some time off from business and just shared some time with family and friends. I know I got some really good downtime, family time, and we successfully made it through all of Christmas without being sick. And then last night, my daughter ended up starting to get a fever. It went up to like 102 this morning. And so she's at the doctor right now with dad. And I don't know how many of you guys have had sickness going through your family, but I know that there is a lot going around right now. So I pray health upon all of you and your families. But it's one of those things that, man, we all come into the new year with so much momentum. And for some of you, you have, it's January 2nd and there's already been kind of a first blow, and I know that was for us and our family with sickness coming in right away. So I think that it's one of those things that this is one of those times where there is so much momentum, but there's also a little bit of struggle. Holidays are sometimes difficult for various reasons, right? Sickness is abound. I know, like, the weather gets darker, and so for some of us, like, there's seasonal stuff going on. I know I used to struggle with like seasonal depression and things like that. There's a lot that happens in this small little chunk of time, right? And I think that this is a really good time for us to talk about goal setting, for us to talk about our plans for the year. And I think that what's important about it is that we're doing it sometimes in the midst even of struggle or in the midst of difficulty. Because when we're looking at 2024, none of us can say it's going to be void of difficulty, right? All of us know that when we set goals, they're going to have to be realistic goals. They're going to have to be, stretch goals, goals that we know, man, it's going to take some consistency and some effort. But we also know that reality kicks in, and that's part of why you guys are building your freedom business. I know for me to be able to, this morning when my daughter wasn't feeling good, I wasn't at work. I was at home and I snuggled in bed with her for, almost an hour, just being with her, and that's my why. That's my freedom life, is that I get to do that even when things are difficult. So I don't know what your freedom life looks like. I don't know what struggle you're in the midst of right now. But I just want to say you're not alone, right? And I think that that's what's so powerful about this savvy community is that we're doing this together. My friends and family don't always get that whole, like, oh my gosh, I just made $10,000 months, or I just got my first client, and people are like, cool. But this community, we get it. We're like, what? Because we know the work and the struggle and the effort that you put in to get there. So I love that we can celebrate together inside of our savvy community, inside of the savvy family, right? I love that we can struggle together inside of this savvy family too. You guys all know what it's like to not get paid from a client, or you guys know what it's like to be struggling in a certain part of your business, or trying to balance personal life and family life. So we can celebrate together, we can struggle together. I think the cool thing is that we don't have to do this alone. And so even though we're a virtual community, I'm giving you a virtual savvy hug saying you're not doing this alone. It is a new year, and that means it is time for us to really I am all about, I don't know, some people are like, I don't set goals, I don't do that whole thing. Man, I don't necessarily set resolutions, I don't know the difference, but like, I set goals, especially for business, right? And looking ahead, and what do we want to do this year? It's a great time to kind of recap what happened in 2023 and to look ahead and say, what do I want to happen? Let me put some intentionality in place so I know what can actually be accomplished, right? And so I just want to take you through that process together. This is something that I do personally inside of my business is I, look at the past year, but then I really look ahead and say, what could we do, right? What could happen? As a whole, we tend to highly overestimate what we can do in a day and highly underestimate what we could do in a year, right? And so I've noticed I kind of have that tendency. I'm like, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And then, like, not all of that happens because I just think I can get a lot more done in a day than I can. But what's amazing is that we look at a year as a whole and we are really intentional day in, day out, tiny steps. Keep moving forward. You will be amazed at what you can accomplish in an entire year. So let's dive in. I want to share with you my process for how I actually make goals for the year. Okay. Now, before I do that, I do want to mention how many of you guys have signed up for the challenge. Let me know in the comments below if you have signed up for this. This is our free 3 days to VA live challenge. So we're going to be going live every single day for 3 days, January 16th through the 18th. We did it a little bit later in January. That way we gave you some time to get your bearings, right? Get the kids back in school. But I want to go live with you each day. And this is a jam-packed challenge, guys. We are literally going to be creating your virtual assistant packages. We're going to be talking about pricing. We're going to be talking about marketing. We're going to be talking about systems, how you can set yourself up for success. Now, if you already have a VA business, this is still for you because it might be time for some repositioning, right? Or maybe the marketing you're doing isn't working the way that you would want it to work. If you're brand new, if you don't know what virtual assistants really is and you're still kind of feeling this out, this is for you as well. Okay. And so I'm really excited for this challenge. It's a 3-day challenge. When you go to sign up, you'll see it will already sign you up for all 3 days. I see Amanda's already signed up. Awesome. So excited to have you. It's going to be incredible. Let's share this time together. But make sure you block off the time because it is going to be very, very action packed. You're going to want to come ready to work. Okay. It is not a passive thing that you sit and watch. You will actually be engaged inside of this challenge. Okay. So here's what I want to do. I want you to tell me in the comments some of your big wins, right? Again, I think that one of the important things that we need to do as savvies is that we need to celebrate together. And I will raise my hand and say, I am not always the best at celebrating. Something big will happen personally or in business. And my husband is the best at reminding me of this. He goes, that's awesome. How are you going to celebrate that? And I'm like, I don't know. I was just on to the next goal, right? Anybody else? I am notorious for not celebrating well. So I want us to take a moment before we jump into goal setting, before we talk about 2024. I want to celebrate something. And again, let's celebrate even small wins or what might feel small to you. Maybe you just decided to start your business, right? Maybe you quit your job to free up time for what's coming in 2024. Maybe you signed a client. Maybe you repositioned your offerings and you're really excited about it. What is something that you want to celebrate that you've accomplished so we can celebrate together? I want to feature you right now. So go ahead and let me know. We had somebody asking how to sign up for the challenge. I'll go back to that link. It's thevirtualsavvy.com/challenge. Okay. For anyone who didn't catch that before. Awesome. So go ahead and be dropping those wins inside of the comments because we want to celebrate with you. I think that gosh, we had so much to celebrate this past year inside not only business but personally. A lot of you guys might not know this, but we had a really, really rough 2022. I'm like having to count my years now. Just honestly, personally, a lot happened. My husband's father passed away. We had some struggles inside of the business. We had a huge spike in COVID for 2020, everybody wanting to work from home. And so we ended up went down some the next year, which, hey, that's okay. Let's talk about that. That does happen in business, right? And so we had to do some repositioning. We had in 2020 taken a trip in an RV that ended terribly, and the company actually ended up suing us. So we had to go to court in 2022. My husband had a heart attack in 2022. Did you guys know all this happened in 2022? It was terrible. And so 2023 was really a rebuilding year for us. Like, it was a year to make sure that our family was just strong and solid, to make sure that my marriage was good, to make sure that the business, like our team culture was good, right? So not every year is like, oh, we grew, we doubled the size of our company. We've had those years before where we just grew in revenue. And this was really like 2023 for us was a heart year. Like, let's make sure that we're just mentally good, physically good, that we just that we're okay. It was definitely, I think, a mental health and rebuilding year for us, which was good. And so whatever your year was, I want you to celebrate. I want to celebrate that, because I would say that, looking at 2023, my marriage is stronger than ever by the grace of God. My team is strong, right? The Virtual Savvy team, like our team morale is better than it has been, than it was by far in 2022. Like, we've just really come a long way. And I think that that's something to celebrate. So I want to know what some of your celebrations are. Oh my goodness, this is huge. I quit my job, Elisa. That's amazing. Working through the Savvy system, I niched down to focus on. I niched down to focus my packages this year. That's amazing. I want to celebrate that I make the decision to start my VA business. That's so good. Hey, this is huge. I'm finally on the right medications to be able to have the energy to start. That is huge when your body does not feel well. So getting yourself good is one of the best things that you can do. I know for some of us, it's like, I'm going to work on business, but my major focus is working on myself. So that's huge. I signed up for the program. I'm assuming you're thinking the Savvy system. Yes, Connie, that's amazing. So good. I started Savvy system. I launched my VA business last month. Yay. Oh my goodness. This is so good, you guys. Celebrate that I chose me. Yes, so good. And to start my VA business. I love it. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. Keep putting your celebrations, because again, we want to celebrate together. Oh, I love this one. Like, Cameron, I'm starting my business. I have my first client lined up, and I decided to quit my job and go all in. Come on, go big or go home. Let's do it. I love celebrating with you guys. Keep them coming. Keep posting, because we want to celebrate together. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to focus this specifically on business, but I want you to know that you can use this same methodology for any goal that you have, even personally. My husband and I have decided that before I turn 40, which is still a few years away, but we want to do this major hike out in Yosemite, right? And I told my husband, I was like, that's awesome. I want to do that. Yes, let's do it. I'm going to need 2 years. Like, there is no way, like, I am not in enough physical shape to be able to do that. And so what I did is I created this 2-year plan to do it. And it starts literally by hiking like half a mile, right? So I started like a month ago, where I, started actually I hiked a quarter of a mile, and then half a mile, and then 3/4 of a mile. And this month I'm doing a mile, right? Where it's just like intense incline hiking. And so I broke a big goal, right? Which is what this stands for, by the way. A BHAG is a big, hairy, audacious goal. I took a really big goal and I broke it into smaller parts. And that's really all we're doing here, guys, is what is something that you would like to accomplish? And again, we're going to focus it on business, but you can do this personally too. What is something you would like to accomplish in a large amount of time? A goal should be time bound, right? So in 2024, what's something that you want to accomplish? What's one big thing? And you can put my BHAG is, and go ahead and put it here in the comments, but you're going to focus on one big goal, and then we're just going to break it into smaller parts. So your BHAG could look like a lot of different things, right? I want to say yes to starting my own business. Like, if I could just start my business this year and get one paying client, that would be a win for some of you, right? Like, if I want to take home $3,000 a month from my business. So that would be, if you were doing like if you're doing 50% profit margins, then that'd be making about 6,000 a month in your business. If you're doing 30% margins, that'd be about 9,000 income. But you want to take home about 3,000 a month from your business. That would be a huge, amazing thing to accomplish by the end of the year. Maybe you already have clients and you're ready to start kind of doing the next level in your service-based business, which is growing an email list, right? I wouldn't recommend doing that until you already have a steady stream of clients, but maybe you're at that point and you want to start growing an email list. I want to have a consistent social media plan. I just want to show up and be consistent in XYZ, right? I want to pay off debt. I want to plan an epic vacation with my business earnings. I want to work less than 20 hours a week. What is your big, hairy, audacious goal? Let's just pick one for right now. Again, you can do multiple, but I think that we're actually reading the book Essentialism right now as an entire team, and I think that the less that you can do, and really focus your efforts and streamline, that you have a better chance of actually accomplishing that thing if you just really, really stick with 1, 2, maybe 3 big goals for the year, right? And so one business goal is awesome, and then how you're going to get there might have multiple facets attached to it. But we're just going to focus on one for right now, okay? Let's see. We have a couple coming through here. I love that we're doing this together, interactive. Let's go. Launch my business and get my first client. That's awesome, Bailey. I absolutely love it. I want to launching my VA business and make $2,000 a month. So do you want to income? Let's get really, really specific, right? So a goal should be SMART, right? Do you guys remember that whole acronym? It should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. So time bound is by the end of the year, right? And we want it to be specific. And we also want it to be, so the specific part of it and the measurable part of it, you need to know, is that income, or is that gross revenue, or is that take home pay? So let me know, Elisa, which one it's going to be. I love this. My BHAG is to take on 4 new clients or net 10K a month. Perfect. And it could be both, right? I want to net 10K a month, and how I will do that is by taking on 4 new clients, which is perfect. Lisa, start my own business, have clients, start from the bottom. Awesome. Let's get really specific. Like, how many clients do you want to get by the end of the year? Okay. Getting as specific and measurable as possible is really going to help you know if you're winning the game. So you want to take home. Awesome. In 6 months, I love it. So Elisa, if you're going to be doing $2,000, you're going to bring in $2,000, really, I think, and every business is different. It is not unrealistic to have 50% or higher profit margins in a VA business. So you might want to, if you're making $4,000 a month, then it could be realistic for you to take home 2,000 from that. So and we can work the numbers a little bit later, but I want to grow my team, hire at least 2 more VAs. Awesome. I want to hire 2 subcontractors by the end of the year, which will allow me to, right? Will that allow you to have more time, to make more money, or both? Let's get really, really specific here. First client by the end of January. Awesome, Emma. I love that. And we're going to show you how that looks. So if you have your first client by the end of January, what are you hoping where's that getting you? So it's like a step in the destination, right? If I'm taking a trip to Orlando and I'm driving, my first stop might be Bentonville, right? Like, that's your first stop. I don't actually remember. I used to drive to Florida all the time. I think we go through Tennessee. My first stop is Memphis. Okay. Anyways, it's a step in the journey, right? But where's the end destination? We really, really want to make a goal of where the end destination is. And maybe you don't know yet, Emma, and that's okay, because the next step of this is really going to help you. I love this. My goal is to onboard 3 new reoccurring clients each quarter. So if you were starting from 0, you would have 12 by the end of the year. If you're starting with more than that, then obviously that would increase. That's good. That's very specific, measurable. Oh, come on. To end up this year with 20 full-time clients under my team. I love it. I love that. It's big, it's hairy, audacious, right? I love it. I want to have 5 clients booking first by the end of 20 January. That's perfect. All right, we'll do one more. I work on time management, launch my VA business where I end a year with a net income of $5,000 to $10,000 a month. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so you've got your one big goal. And I want to point something out here, guys. Most of these are really income related, and that's okay. Right. I don't want, I think sometimes, especially, I know we've got a lot of women here, so I'm just going to talk to the women because I feel like this is something that sometimes we struggle with a little bit more than men do. I feel like sometimes we are apprehensive to like make goals around money specifically. Um, and I think it's because for most of us, I mean, I'm obviously generalizing here, so just stick with me. For most of us, the money means so much more than the money, right? Like, um, if for let me go. Um, okay, so Lisa saying, I want to take home $3,000 a month from my business earnings, right? Lisa probably doesn't just want to make $3,000 a month from her business so she can say, "Look, I made $3,000 a month," right? Like, how cool is that? Like that number in and of itself doesn't really mean something until you attach the why to it. And so I'm guessing, Lisa, for you, that $3,000 a month would enable you to XYZ, right? And maybe it is something about like just building something that you're really, really proud of. Maybe it's being there more for kids or for grandkids or for, for whatever, for different people. It's more about being there, that flexibility so that I can travel more, right? So that I can, protect my mental health, like so that I can, there's, most of our number goals, I feel like as women, a lot of times have to do with matters of the heart. It's like, it's because I want this deep thing. And which I think is really, it's different. Like your goal is different than your why. So we're getting a little bit into why conversation, which we will go over in the challenge that I talked about earlier. But it really means something to us. And so sometimes I feel like we are apprehensive to make number goals because really what we want is the why, right? Like really what we want is the thing that our heart is attached to. But I like to push people to make these number goals because it is the reality that that is how you're going to get there, right? And so I love it because we can pair those two things together. Like if we can marry the heart and the why with the strategy and the numbers, like that, it's just such a beautiful thing because the why is going to be the motivation to actually help you reach the numbers, and the numbers are going to be the thing, the avenue that actually helps you reach the heart thing. Do you see how that like plays back and forth with each other? So it's really cool when you have both. And I think that setting like number goals, realistic goals can be really, really scary for us sometimes. And I will say this too, like um the the achieving a goal is really awesome. Like when you set out to a goal and you actually achieve it, it's really, really amazing. Sometimes you set out on the journey and you realize like, oh, maybe I overshot it a little bit. Maybe I undershot it a little bit, right? So it's okay to adjust these along the way. And so I want to go ahead and give you that permission, as we go into the next phase. Actually, let me go ahead and put this up here as the next phase. You guys can go ahead and type it in the virtualsavvy.com/goals. Because this is a free spreadsheet. There's no opt-in or anything. You literally just download it. So you can go straight to it right now. This spreadsheet, you can print it out. It's actually fillable, so you can type it in here. But what this enables you to do is to actually put legs beneath your goals and to get really, really specific and measurable about how that thing is going to happen, right? So for Stephanie says, I want to make $5,000 a month, which is what I was making my last job, and retire my husband. Like, that's amazing, Stephanie, right? So that could potentially be, and I'm just going to make, I'm going to make this real general, right? Like you can go in and make this more specific later. But if you were to make this, let's say you were to hit like 50% profit margins, then that would enable you to make that 5K a month at about $10,000, right? Which sounds like a lot if you were going to try to do that in the next 30 days, but you've got 12 months to do this, right? And we can adjust along the way. If you get to the destination, whether it takes you a little longer, a little shorter, like you're still getting there, right? And I think that that's huge. So that's why I really like to plot this out. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm actually going to take Stephanie's goal, that $5,000 a month, and I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share my other screen. Okay, so if we were to break that up, and I know this is probably, let me see if I can zoom this in so you guys can see it a little better. So if I were to do this, what I would actually do a lot of times, I like to start at the bottom and work backwards. So if I were going to, if I was going to make 10,000 a month with 50% profit margins, pay myself 5K, right? Again, I know I'm being very, very general here, and you can like actually go in and work this out and be more specific later. But if we were going to be doing that, that feels really big, right? But we've got a year. So what could that look like if I broke that up? I would go on to month 11 and say, you know, if I just broke this up even into, oops, sorry guys. If I just broke this up even into months, oh, it didn't save. So this was 10K. And then on this month, let me go ahead and say 9K. This would be 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what I would want to do is month 1. If I look at, I'm like, okay, that seems potentially doable. Do I think by March, do I think I can make $10,000 in like 30 days? Well, that feels like a lot. Do I think by the end of March, I could sign $1,000 a month client? Oh, that actually feels more attainable, right? What would be the steps I would need to take to get there? Well, by month 1, by the end of January, and I know this is small for you guys. So by the end of January, 2024, how many times am I going to do that? 2023, have my business set up and launch to friends and family, right? So that is, I would say, you know, by the end of this month, I would have my packaging, my pricing, my EIN number, my contract in place. I want to have all of that done in the next 30 days. Totally doable, right? Totally doable. By month 2, what do I want to have done? I want to create a marketing plan where I market, I mean, how many hours per week am I going to be working? Maybe I'm working 15 hours a week on my business. So I'm going to spend 10 of that. I'm going to spend the majority of my time. I'm going to say 12 if I'm working 15, 12 hours per week marketing my business so that I can land my first 1K per month client. Now, what's really awesome about this too is that as you start to like build this out, it will start to reflect what, you know, again, when we go into the challenge, which we'll be talking about here in a second, it's coming up on the 16th. It's a 3-day challenge. We're going to be talking about pricing and packaging. And so whenever you start creating your pricing and your packaging, if you have a goal of getting to $10,000 months by the end of the year, you probably want to have $1,000 packages, right? It's going to be so much easier to reach your goals with $1,000 packages than it is with like $200 packages, right? And so it's just something to like kind of be, this should get your brain churning about pricing and packaging is, okay, I want my main package to be $1,000 offer or a $500 offer, right? So if I was doing a $500 offer, I would probably say land 2 clients at $500 per month for a total of 1K per month revenue, right? And you can start to break this down, okay? How are we feeling in the comments? I want to know because I can start doing this. And I get really excited about this, but this is like like feet to the pavement is where I know a lot of people start to like freeze and get stuck or get confused. So is there anything like, let's let this be a working session together. Is there anything in the comments that you guys would want to like say, yes, I'm getting it, or no, this part is difficult for me? Do you see why I started at month 12, right? The more specific and measurable you can get with your goals for the year, it's going to help you. And what I would do is I would take this and I would print this out, right? I would put it somewhere where you are viewing it all the time. Because what this is going to enable you guys to do, let me go ahead and remove this and bring back to my other screen. Un momento. Share my screen, goals. Okay. So, you start with the end goal in mind, right? And then you work backwards and it becomes more and more like reasonable, right? It becomes more and more attainable because I don't have to get to $10,000 months tomorrow. I have 12 months to do that, which means by the end of this month, I need to get my business set up, right? And what, like, so once you have that part done, then it's like the how, right? Because I can say, I can go here and be like, and I want by month 3 to have my first client. And it's like, how am I going to do that exactly? Right. And I know, again, one thing at a time, right? How do you eat an elephant? What bite at a time? You have to just, you go slowly through each part of this, right? Elisa, it's amazing. I might need help doing this. I find it difficult to do this alone. Exactly. I understand. We are all there, right? And so what does it actually look like to accomplish this now, right? If you have each one of these goals. So there are four things that you're going to need. Number one is you are going to have the time to do it. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about time because I know we are busy people. I'm a busy person. You're a busy person. If you are going to be serious about your business goals this year, it may mean saying no to something else. Ooh, I know I'm about to step on some toes here. Saying yes to you, saying yes to your business is probably going to mean saying no to something else. I have a hunch that most of you guys aren't just sitting on your bums, 20 hours a day, right? No, you're hardworking people, right? The reason you're here is because you're a hardworking person. The reason you're here is because you like are probably like a slightly driven person, right? Or you at least aspire to be a driven person. And so so you probably already have a lot of things that you've said yes to. So a time evaluation, I think, is really, really good. And this is a great time of year to do it. My husband and I, we do like an annual planning session just for like, we do one for business, but then we do one just personally too. And we really look at our calendar and we say, what would an ideal week look like for us, right? And it involves business, it involves family, it involves friends, and it involves taking care of ourselves too, right? Like making sure that I am moving my body has to be a part of my actual plan, or it's not going to happen. Making sure to spend like me personally. There's always time for business and family. Like those things just happen automatically for me personally because they're just so much a part of like my DNA. Taking time for myself to take care of myself and friendships are the two areas where I lack the most. Like, so I literally have to force myself to carve it into my day. I have a weekly meeting with my husband where we plan out the whole week. And one of my action items for the week is, are you spending time with a friend this week? Because I'm just really bad at friendships if I'm not purposeful about doing it. Right. And so maybe you can sub that out and say, that's me for business, right? Like I'm really good at taking care of other people. I'm really good at like, I have to show up to my job, but taking time for business is the thing that's really difficult. Okay, let's carve it out then, right? If you look at your actual week, when is the time that you are going to carve out to work on your business? And I would suggest it being at least 5 hours a week. Okay. And that's going to be devoted time, not distracted time. So distracted time would be like while your 2-year-old is like crawling on you, asking for juice, right? That's distracted time, not devoted time. So is it waking up earlier? Is it working through your lunch break? Is it asking a mom friend one day a week that, hey, I'll watch your kids on Mondays, you watch my kids on Wednesdays, right? Is it actually waking up on Saturdays instead of sleeping in. I don't know. I mean, we all have a different life, but you are going to have to actually carve out that time and make dedicated time to work on your business if this is going to work. Maybe you need accountability to help that happen, right? So maybe it's not just you, maybe it's you and a friend meet together once a week to talk through your business and you set goals, right? So in the Savvy system, that's, our signature program for virtual assistants. One of the very first things we encourage you to do is to find an accountability partner, right? So that you are chasing these goals together and that you're meeting on some kind of cadence. It's actually built into your calendar so that you can have somebody help hold you accountable. All of these things are tools that are going to help set yourself up for success. So again, you need that time. You need the time dedicated to carve out to achieve your goals. You need tools. So one of the things that I love talking about is tools to make the job easier. Some of us choose to make things harder for ourselves. I don't know about you. I'm one of these people that I will find the most difficult way to do something. Like I swear I will. I'm like, I'm I don't even know. I'm trying to think of an example. Like I've gotten really into like painting, like finding stuff at thrift stores and trying to repaint it. I'm really bad at painting and crafts, so I don't know why this is like a new kick that I'm on right now, but I'm really into it. And I swear I am finding like the most difficult way to do it, right? So I'm like, oh, let me order some spray paint from Walmart. There's this kind that I saw in this YouTube video. So I order the spray paint and I go and I do the Walmart pickup, except like the Walmart pickup has like 40 people in it because it's Christmas time when I ordered the spray paint. And so I sit there for like 2 hours to pick up spray paint that I could have just gone, like, how did I find the most difficult way to do this? Right? Like that is me for everything in my life is I find the most difficult way to do it. And part of that is because I don't reach out and ask for help. And so what I would really recommend is if you find yourself really getting stuck, right? Ask for help. If you've spent 3 hours designing a Cassandra slowly raises hand, guilty as charged. Yes. If you find yourself working 3 hours on a logo and you're like, oh my gosh, this is still so ugly, like ask somebody for help, right? Can you guys commit together? What tool would help me do this, right? There are AI logo makers out there now, guys. You can order a logo off of Etsy for like $4 and they're gorgeous. Like there are tricks and tools to help you do things faster and easier. So we got to pump the brakes sometimes when we find ourselves like going down that spiral of like, I've just spent 4 hours doing this thing that should be so easy. There probably is an easier way. There's probably a tool, right? And there's so many amazing tools. I know I have YouTube videos about this for VA businesses. Some of the tools are like the Virtual Savvy. We have a contracts package. Like, please don't make more work for yourself later in the long run by not having a good contract. You want those boundaries set up in the beginning. Please have like if you're logging hours in a spreadsheet, there's a tool called Toggle, Toggl, that's totally free. And you can log your hours and it will create reports for you that you can send to your clients and it's free, right? Canva, it's free. Like there's so many free tools out there, but you're going to have to know which ones to use in your business. And the best way to know, oh, I might need a tool for this is just to ask, right? I'm banging my head. I'm spending so much time doing XYZ. What is a tool I could use to make this easier? Needs to be a question. If you need a little sticky note to put on your computer that says, is there a tool that could make this easier, right? And to remind yourself to ask yourself that question or to ask our community that question, that might be something that's really, really helpful. Oh, and this is it, Linda. It's so true. My pride gets in the way of asking for help. It's me too. I get it. I'm the same way. So just know that you're not alone. But we've got to ask this, and this is a great community to do it, right? If you guys haven't been in our VA Savvies community, that big community of 120,000, it is the most helpful community. People don't judge you for asking the question, like very, very newbie friendly. So you can ask your questions there. Training. The fastest way to get to a destination was with a proven roadmap. I'm so convinced of that. So if you're like, well, I want to do this, but I don't know, like, what do I actually do? right? Like what do I need to do next? That's where the Savvy system comes in. And it is, how many of you guys, let me know in the comments if you are Savvy system students. And just, you can give a quick little blurb like about it. It is a step-by-step roadmap, right? And it is meant to be followed in order. So if some of you guys are like jumping around, not doing it in order, I highly recommend that you do it in order, because what happens is it is step by step. Do this, do this, do it, breaks it into chunks so easy. So if you just do the assignments in order, you will have a business at the end, right? Like that's the way it works. Anytime. So the Virtual Savvy, I started this in 2016. We've grown to be well, a $2 to $3 million business. We've gone between the $2 and $3 million. We went up to almost 4 million in 2020, which was insane. And now we hover more around like the $3 million mark. But we have done that through I like totally. Oh, anytime that we have had significant growth inside of the business, it's because we've been in some kind of training program or coaching program, or like following a blueprint is, I believe, the fastest way to get to a destination, right? I wouldn't take that trip to Orlando without a map, without Waze on, right? Like, unless you've done it 100 times before. Like, you don't need the roadmap if you've done it 100 times before. But if you're a first time cook, you need the recipe, right? And so it's okay to add your own flair to it, to add your own style. Oh, hey, this recipe asks for garlic and I don't like garlic, so I'm gonna add something else. I don't know, onions instead. Like, it's okay to adjust the recipe, but you still want to follow a recipe because it's somebody who's done the thing before. And I see so many people just try to go out and do something all on their own and be so hard on themselves that they're not getting it right, when it's like, of course you're not. You haven't done this before. Why are you expecting yourself to be perfect at something you've never done before, right? So let's all give ourselves some grace and let's follow a proven roadmap, because the step-by-step system is really what's going to help maintain that laser focus. If you're like, oh, maybe the shiny thing over here, nope, follow the system. Oh, what if I could maybe, nope, follow the system, right? It's like our centering ground of what should I do next? Just follow the system. So again, I'm talking about the Savvy system. It is our step-by-step program. We are opening, we're doing another big sale of it in mid-January. So if that's something you're looking forward to, I can answer questions about it. But having that step-by-step roadmap really is helpful. And then lastly, team. Who's in your corner to cheer you on as you achieve this goal? And I don't necessarily mean team as far as subcontractors, although maybe that is what you need if your business has grown to a point where you need subcontractors. Your team can be your support team, right? So it can be the Savvy System community. It can be maybe your spouse, right? Is like your biggest cheerleader in your corner. Maybe it is a friend that you decide, hey, we're going to meet and have coffee once a week. Who is in your corner? Don't do this alone. Like, at one point I put out, this is like 2 years ago, it's still ingrained in my brain. I put out this post that said something like, you can't do this alone. And someone got really feisty with me. Like, social media, people feel like they can say anything. Like, they were like straight up like, that's impossible. I built this business on my own back and nobody helped me and da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I stand corrected. You can do this alone. But why would you want to? Like, how sad, right? To do this alone when there are people who want to cheer you on. There are people who want to celebrate with you, right? And so I would really highly encourage you to be intentional. And again, I'm raising my hand because I know I'm one of the worst people at doing this, around surrounding myself. Like I told you, friendships is what like goes to the bottom of my list a lot of times when I just get into like go mode. But I know, like for me, I'm going to be more intentional about friendships this year because I want those people in my corner. I want, when I have an awesome thing happen, to celebrate with other people. About a month ago, my husband and I started a small group through our church of with just business owners, and they're not virtual assistants. They don't have the same type of business, but just meeting on a weekly basis with other people who are in business. It's like, oh, I have some people in my corner, right? So I couldn't find that community, so I made that community, right? So for some of you guys, yeah, that could be something that's beneficial. It might just be an accountability person, it might be somebody that you have coffee with, but make sure that you have people in your corner. And you're going to have to be, the more I get into like, especially I felt like friendships were so easy in my 20s and later 20s, I got a little bit more difficult. It's like my friends got married. Now that I'm in like my 30s, to late 30s, it is like if I'm gonna have friendships, I'm gonna have to be the person. Like I've committed to that. Like I will have to pursue people, right? And I've gotten over, like, you can feel bad about that, or you'd be like, it's just the way it is. We're all busy. I'm gonna be the initiator to go out and find people who are gonna be in my corner and to cheer them on as they cheer me on, right? Yes, so good. If you want to go far, do it with others. It's releasing lone wolf syndrome. I love this, Mary. So good. So good. Okay. Um, so everything that you do, okay, if you've got this 12-month goal spreadsheet, um, and you've got your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal, everything you do should be centered around that goal for this next year, right? Like, how freeing is it to know all I have to do is focus on my one goal for the month, right? If you've broken apart your big, hairy, audacious goal into 12-month goals, you don't need to worry about December 2024 right now. All you have to worry about is January, right? So for some of you, that's, I need to start my business, right? I need to get it launched and I need to announce it to my friends and family. And that's it. That's all you have to focus on. And what happens is it helps keep us laser focused on what we need to do. And everything that goes into our weekly to-do list now can just support that number one goal for the month happening, right? When you come up with your to-do list for the week, you can ask yourself, is this helping me achieve my number one goal? And if it isn't, you probably shouldn't be doing it, right? So if you're like, ooh, maybe I'm going to start a podcast this month. Nope, that's not helping me achieve my number one goal of setting my business up and launching it by the end of the year, right? Shiny object syndrome. If you're true entrepreneurs, you probably have shiny object syndrome. So don't be discouraged. It just means that you're really an entrepreneur, and that's fine. So what I am here to do is help you stay laser focused, right? Because that is, after being in business since 2016, we've had so many people, we've had over 6,000 students go through the Abbey system, right? I have made friends in business. I have friends who have, $100,000 year businesses. I have friends who have $1 million businesses. I have friends who have 10 and $100 million businesses, right? $100 million per year businesses. The people that I have seen grow successful, consistent businesses, do you know what the number one trait is? You can guess in the comments if you want. It's focus. And I hate that because naturally I am not a focused person. Like I'm a little all over the place. But when I get consistent and I get focused, that's when I can see real growth happen. So that's what I want to challenge you. Focus isn't sexy. Consistency isn't sexy, but it is the thing that brings results. And it's what can really lead us to our freedom life, which is super sexy, right? So that is what I want to encourage you with. Perfection is the enemy of progress. You don't have to do this perfectly. It is imperfect steps and consistent imperfect steps that's going to lead you to your goal. And so that's what I want to leave you with. That's what I want to leave you with here today is like, what small, imperfect, consistent steps are you going to take this year that's going to help you reach that big, hairy, audacious goal? If starting a business and starting a VA business is one of your big, hairy, audacious goals, then I definitely recommend you join our challenge. It's happening January 16th through 18th. It's 3 days. It's live. If you're able to make it live, please do so. Even if you're not, you can sign up and watch the replays. But it's going to be really interactive, just like what I did here today. And we're just going to be diving in. We're going to create your pricing. We're going to do your packaging. We're going to really set you up for success for this new year, so you know exactly what to do. Okay. So join the challenge, the virtualsavvy.com/challenge. I talked a lot, so I do want to do some Q&A time. I only have maybe like 10-ish minutes to do the Q&A. So let's go ahead and dive in. What questions do you have? If you have a question for me related to this, related to business, if you posted something earlier and I didn't see it, my apologies. I try to watch the I try to watch the questions as I'm going, but what questions do you have about your big, hairy, audacious goals? What questions do you have about starting, launching, scaling a VA business? You have an opportunity to pick my brain. So go ahead and let me know in the chat if you have any questions. And we will jump there. I'll go back and see. I think there's a lag on comments because I see you guys answering my questions like 2 minutes after I ask them. So I feel like there's a lag on comments even here. So if it takes me a second, my apologies. You guys, you have some really, really cool goals here. I'm just looking back at the comments. I love this. I love this, love this, love this. Okay, now they're coming in. I love it. Yes, Vicky says action over perfection. Oh, this is good. Can you set goal numbers that are too high? So Emma, I think that a SMART goals. Have you guys heard of SMART goals before? They're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound, right? And so the realistic one is really difficult sometimes because it's like, oh, how do I know what's realistic? Like you want to shoot high, but you don't want to shoot too high, right? Because then there's discouragement if you shoot too high and you don't achieve that goal. And it kind of depends what kind of person you are. Like some people like to shoot goals higher than they will actually achieve. Like I'm going to aim for $10,000 months. And then if you get to December, you're at 9,000, you're like, yeah, I got 9,000. Some of you guys would be like, oh, that'd be so sad, right? So maybe I want to set them at 8,000 because then if I hit 9,000, it's awesome. And it's like, how do you even know that, right? And so I think the biggest thing is starting. So like we had earlier with the calendar, right? You want to start this is why this is so important, because how realistic it is really difficult to know until you've actually mapped it out, right? And if you can say month 1 feels realistic, I can start my business and I can launch it by the end of this month. Month 2 feels realistic. I can devote 10 hours a week to marketing by the end, in February. If I do that, then the goal of signing $1,000 a month client, if all my energy is focused in marketing, does that feel realistic, right? And breaking it apart into small attainable goals. If you're like, by month 3, I'm going to sign 15 clients. If you've never signed one client before, that might be really difficult. So that would feel like too much, right? And so as you go, you may have to adjust these over time. There's no surefire way to know if your goal is too high. So I think that that's why this is so important, is that each one of these should build off of one another. It's like, okay, if I know how to get one client, could I know how to get 2 clients? Yeah. So if I have that system, I feel like I could add 1 new client per month with this new system, right? And that leaves room for things to happen too, right? So if you sign a client, but then one drops off, well, again, that leaves you some breathing room in there as well. So that's what I would recommend is and adjusting, reevaluating your goals too, right? I'm a big fan. So in business, we do an annual meeting. So this is kind of what your annual meeting is, right? This is like you're setting your annual goals. I like doing quarterly check-ins. So I would put like March 15th. go ahead, and even if it's just you on your team, like, you can run your business like a CEO just if it's just you. Did you know that? Like, you are a CEO because you are starting your own business. So you can go ahead and run your business like you're the CEO of a big company, even if it's just you and your business. So have an annual meeting, right? Like, have an annual meeting with yourself and plan out your goals for the year. Have quarterly check-ins. Set a calendar for March 15th, maybe June 15th, September 15th, and December 15th, right? Where you go ahead and you check in on yourself and how are you doing with achieving your goals. Do your goals need to be adjusted? That's okay. If you get to March 15th and you realize, ooh, I was off a little bit, maybe my goals need to be higher, or maybe they need to be a little lower. That's okay. You adjust and you regroup. But that's what I would recommend. So that way you're not just like, oh, I'm behind, I'm behind all year, I'm behind, and you're trying to play catch up. That's no fun for anybody, right? So hopefully that's helpful. So the challenge is different than the Savvy System blueprint. So everything you need, Lisa, is in the Savvy System. This what we are teaching here inside of the 3-day challenge coming up is a lot of information that's already in the Savvy System. We would love for you to show up. It's a great way just to interact live, to share your experience, but you don't need to wait for the challenge to get started. If you're already a Savvy System student, you just need to be going through the system line item by line item, completing the assignments. Don't jump around, just one at a time, be going through the system. Show up for the challenge. It will be supplemental for you. It will not be something above and beyond necessarily what you're already learning in the Savvy System. It's just a chance for you to kind of do it live with other people, to, talk to me and ask questions. So still sign up for it for sure. But just know that you're not getting anything that you don't already have inside of the Savvy System inside of this challenge. Okay. Do you need to have a business license before launching advertising your business? So a business license is county by county specific. So one of the things we teach inside the Savvy System is that you need to find out what your specific county requires for having an at-home business, right? The best way to do that is to go to score.org. score.org, find a local business mentor, and they're going to be able to help you. They don't know how to run a VA business. So don't ask them like, how do I do my pricing? They don't know all that. They will know the legalities, or at least who to contact in your area to find out the legalities for having a business where you live. So licenses are different from every county. So I can't tell you county to county what type of business license you will need to run your business, but score.org, a business mentor there, will be able to. So generally speaking, you can advertise, again, very general, check your local county requirements. You can advertise your business. Once you actually accept payment is usually when your business is like official, like you are, when you're actually like collecting payment, is if you don't have a business license by then, that may be not good. So just check with your local county to see what you are supposed to have before you actually start accepting payment. I have not seen it be a problem to go ahead and like build your Facebook page, to decide your pricing and packaging, start teasing people, something's coming, go, like, that's okay. You can get the ball rolling and the momentum coming, but just go ahead and as early as possible, find out what your local county requirements are as far as business licensure goes. How do you find prospective clients? How do you position yourself, especially when they are new to the idea of hiring a VA? This is a great question. So on day 3 of the challenge, let me go back to this screen. Day 3 of the challenge is going to be all about marketing. Okay. So I won't be able to answer all your questions about marketing right here on this live stream, but it is going to be one of the major things that we talk about during the challenge, especially on day 3. So just know this information is coming. One of the best things that you can do, just like I was saying to Terry, is to just start telling people about your business. You have no idea how many people are probably already in your network that could potentially use a VA. And I have found that when I'm advertising VA services, it is not like most of the people I talk to don't have to be convinced that they need a VA. They really don't. Like, for those of you who've gotten clients, have you found that once they find out like what a VA is and what they can do, most people are like, oh my gosh, I need that, right? Then it comes to, okay, how do I afford that? What do I pass off? Like, there's some questions around that, but actually convincing them that they need it. If people don't think they need your services, then you're probably prospecting the wrong people. That would be my thoughts, right? So I don't think that, uh, I think that for most people, they know they need help. They know that they need this lifted off of their shoulders, is what I have found. Let me know in the comments if you have found anything different. The difference, we have actually three programs in our savvy verse in the savvy verse in our savvy world. So our three programs that we sell, and I know they're a little confusing. We're actually going to be working this year to clarify the names. We have the Savvy System, which is the step-by-step training program to launch, grow, and scale your business. It's the blueprint, right? The Savvy System is the blueprint to grow your business. It's everything you need: clients, legalities, marketing, packaging, pricing. It's how to set it up. Savvy System, or I'm sorry, Savvy Vault. So that was Savvy System. Savvy Vault is a vault of tech and niche trainings, right? So it's like a Netflix of different tech and industry courses. So we have a course on Canva, we have one on ConvertKit, we have one on how to be an Instagram, how to run Instagram for clients, how to be a Pinterest manager, right? So it's like the skills training is the vault, right? So Savvy System is a step-by-step blueprint. Savvy Vault is the skills training if you want additional skills training. And then we also do a third program called Savvy Circle. Those are for people already making around $2,000 a month in their business. And it is a high touch group coaching program that gets you to 10K months is our goal. And so those three programs are what we have. If you're deciding between Savvy System and Savvy Vault, like if you're newer in business and you can't choose, we always tell people go with Savvy System. You need the blueprint more than you need the additional skills. So that's my recommendation. If you can afford both, do both because they're both invaluable. But Savvy System is the blueprint and is where we want most people to start. Okay. So many good questions. Yes, one of my goals is to launch my business in the next 2 weeks. I just realized registering my business is going to take some time. Meantime, nope. So you can still, I would say you can still launch in the next 2 weeks if you define what launch means. So to me, launch is telling friends and family, I'm open for business. So all of the things, especially if you're a Savvy System member, Kayla, all of the things that you need to do to get ready for launch can still happen, right? So you need to decide on your business name. You need to set up the legalities. You need to get a contract ready. You need to decide on your pricing and your packaging. Set up your Facebook business page, right? Get your branding done. What's your logo going to be? What are your colors going to be? Go ahead and decide on all that. Grab your social media handles, grab your domain name, right? What are you going to do when a client says, yes, I want to hire you? What do your systems look like, right? Are you going to do a discovery call? What are those going to look like? All of those things can get set up now so that once your business is actually like registered, approved with your local county, then you are off to the races, right? You want nothing left to do. So I think that 2 weeks is probably still a really good plan to be able to do all that. It'll take work, but I think that that's definitely still achievable. Can we get some examples of business expenses that's being calculated to determine the profit margin? Yeah. So Akiva, one of the great things like about a virtual assistant business is that you don't need a lot to get started. You can use pretty much free tools. So your business profit might be 100% or it might be, 90%. So things that count as expenses would be education for sure. So for instance, if you join the Savvy System, we have monthly payments. So you can join as little as like $97 a month, right? And so that might be a monthly expense for you. Software. So you may end up investing in something like Dubsado or Honeybook. What's cool about those is that like Dubsado is free for the first 3 clients, right? And so you don't actually have to start paying it until you're on to client number 4. But it's a project management tool. It's a way to sign contracts, so you can actually send your contract through Dubsado, have people sign it. It leads. It's like like a CRM, so you can have your leads in there, and actually be like taking notes on like, okay, I had a discovery call with this person, I need to follow up with this person in a week, that type of thing. And so those systems are really good. Actual, like, not just software. So software are the tools that you're using, right? Things like Dubsado. If you used QuickBooks for accounting, that the expense for that would all be software. There's also hardware. I mean, if you need a new computer and you're going to be using it for your business, you can buy a new computer and that be deducted as a business expense. So there's tons of lists online of what can be eligible for business expenses. But you want to try to keep your costs as low as possible in the beginning, because that just means more money in your pocket at the end of the day, right? And so if you look up, I love this about virtual assistants. If you look up like what are good profit margin businesses, I remember one day being like, all right, what other businesses are high profit margins? Because I'm used to virtual assistants, which is, 30 at the low end and 50, 60% profit at the high end. And I remember reading this article about storage units, how profitable storage units are. Oh my gosh, they're so profitable. If you do build, I was like, okay, we got to build some storage units. Do you know what they say profitability is for a storage unit? It's 11%. They're like, whoa, that's mind blowing profit. And I'm like, that's not mind-blowing profit, 11%. But when you think about a lot of businesses, I mean, like businesses that have physical goods or restaurants. I mean, for a restaurant to run at like 3% profit is like mind-blowing for people. And it's like, oh my gosh, to do all that work for only 3% profit? No, thank you. That's why I love virtual assistants, is because you really can, if you make $10,000 a month, you might be able to keep 5, 6,000 of that, right? As actual profit, which is awesome. And remember, you pay taxes off of your profit, not off of the money that comes in. So that's where it is a good idea to keep track of your expenses. If you're going to spend money on your business, make sure you're keeping track of it so that you're not paying taxes on, that you're only paying taxes on your profit. Oh my gosh, you guys have so many good questions. I'm very nervous when it comes to pricing my packages. I'm afraid that once I do find someone, they'll see my number is too high. They won't hire me. Do you recommend promoting breaking up payments for clients who have issues paying the whole amount up front? So Yolanda, I'd love to hear, but I love your outfit, by the way. I'm like looking at your picture. I'm like, I want that shirt. So I would love to hear what kind of services you have. So if you do pay in full, like let's say you're doing a website, right? It is common if you were doing a website to do, like if it's a $5,000 website, it's very common to do half upfront and half upon the completion. Like that's really standard. So I think breaking apart payments like that is no problem. As far as virtual assistant services go, most virtual assistant services, we usually tell people to start hourly. And so you're just trading dollars for hours in the beginning, right? A normal rate is $30 an hour. It could be as low as $20, $25 an hour. It can be as high as $45 an hour for general admin services. And so if people aren't able to afford those prices, then I would recommend expanding your network to new people. And it's really, really easy to kind of get caught up in and get discouraged when one person says it's too expensive, but don't let the 1 or 2 people that say that distract you. And that's where, like, the further you go on this journey, you'll find, oh, I really like working with XYZ, like with these type of people. For instance, Thais De Silva, signs her maiden name's De Silva. I knew her when she was in college. That's funny. I just called her by her maiden name. Thais Signs, she has a business, and they did $1 million in 2023, right? A VA business. She niched down to roofers. Why? Because roofers make money. And she liked working with them, right? Like she had no roofing experience, but she ended up working for a roofer and is like, oh my gosh, I love this industry and went all in, right? And so that's eventually, like I tell people, don't niche down in the very beginning, but over time, it's a really, really good idea to niche down because eventually you'll see, ooh, these are people who can pay my prices. They don't argue about my rate. And so they can actually afford me and I enjoy working with them. That's the sweet spot that we're looking for, right? New business owners, I see people all the time. They're like, I want to work with new business owners. And I'm sorry, but that's not who I want to work with because new business owners, as far as like selling my VA services to them, right? Like a lot of you guys, you're starting a business. Are you ready to hire a VA today? No, probably not, right? And that's okay because in the beginning, you don't have a lot of excess funds. And so working with new business owners, I don't think is usually the best answer. I think it's better to work with more established business owners, right? Bigger businesses. It's that medium sized, like someone who's not so big that they have 100 employees, but not so small that they're just by themselves and started 2 months ago, right? You want to find that sweet spot of somebody who maybe has one or two contractors themselves, or maybe it is just them, but their business is really, really growing and exploding. Like that's the sweet spot. Okay. And so those are the people that you want to be going after. I may have missed this. How do you sign up for the challenge? The virtualsavvy.com/challenge. Where to find the goal sheet. So the goal sheet was the virtualsavvy.com/goals. Okay. Um, okay. So many good questions. Yes, there will be a recording for each day of the challenge. Yeah, it's a good kick in the butt I needed for success. I love it. So good. So good. Um, On the Savvy checklist, one of the steps is a client intake questionnaire. Can you elaborate this? I don't understand what it means. Like a questionnaire to see what they want. Yeah. So what I recommend is on your website. Um, it Once you have a website, when somebody like your contact me form, I wouldn't just do like name, email. Most like general contact forms have like name, email, and like what's your question, right? I want you to get really, really specific on yours. So it would be like name, email, which one of these services are you most interested and list in your services. I like having a pricing thing on there. Our services start at $1,000 a month. Is this an investment you're willing to make? Yes or no, right? Right? And this is like when we're talking about what type of clients to be going after. If people are coming to you and your rate is $50 an hour and this person who's coming to you can only afford $10 an hour, like do you really even want a discovery call with them? I would say no. So an intake questionnaire will really help you. Like what's your biggest frustration? Like if you're a Facebook ads manager, right? What's your biggest frustration right now with Facebook ads? Go ahead and ask that question in your client intake questionnaire because then you can speak directly to their pain point whenever you get on the call with them. So having way more than just a contact me form, having that questionnaire. Guys, if you don't have a website yet, that's okay. You can go to Typeform. So Typeform, typeform.com. And you can create a free form that you just send to people before their discovery call. So even if you don't have a website yet and people are still coming to you and wanting to be your client, I would go ahead and send them a questionnaire before the call happens. That way you're just getting some information in the very beginning, okay? Where are some ideal places to network? Yeah, it depends on your niche for sure. And we'll talk about this again on day 3 of the challenge. But I love starting local. Like if you have the ability, not everyone has the ability. I know some people have a full-time job or they, for some physical reason, they can't go to live networking events. I think that there is nothing like going to, even if it doesn't end up being your long-term strategy, I think that going to live networking events is one of the best ways to just make yourself feel like a real business owner. Like there's something about just like shaking someone's hand and being, hi, my name is Abby. I'm a virtual assistant. Like it's really powerful. So it's one of the first places I always tell people to go to. You can look up meetup.com. You can go to just Facebook events and look in your local community and see what type of events are happening locally. I always tell people just to start with local events. You can move on, and in the Savvy system, we share client acquisition strategies, everything from like cold calling, like high-end client targeting, to advertising on Instagram, to advertising on Craigslist, which is crazy, but it's still actually a method, to Facebook groups. Like there's a lot of different ways to get clients, but um, I always tell people just to start with in-person networking if you are physically able to, because it's just really empowering to do so. And you might end up making some friends along the way. So even if you don't get clients, you still may find some of those, like the people to be on your team, the people who are in your corner. So that's what I would suggest. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been super fun. Of course, if you haven't already, make sure that you go and sign up for our 3 days to VA challenge. It's going to be a really good time and really jam-packed information. Thank you guys so much, and have an awesome rest of the day. Bye.